To configure AWS Amplify AppSync integration, you first need to create an AWS AppSync API, which is a managed GraphQL service that allows you to build scalable and secure APIs. Start by logging into the AWS Management Console and navigating to the AppSync dashboard, where you can create a new API by clicking on the Create API button. Choose the API type as GraphQL and select the schema definition language as schema definition language or SDL. Then define your schema by adding types, queries, mutations, and subscriptions. After defining your schema, you can create data sources such as Amazon DynamoDB tables or AWS Lambda functions to store and manage your data. Once your AppSync API is set up, you can integrate it with AWS Amplify by installing the AWS Amplify CLI and running the Amplify init command to initialize a new Amplify project. Then, run the Amplify add API command to add the AppSync API to your Amplify project. Next, you need to configure the AppSync API in your Amplify project by running the Amplify update API command and following the prompts to configure the API endpoint and authentication settings. You can use AWS IAM roles or Amazon Cognito user pools to authenticate and authorize access to your AppSync API. After configuring the AppSync API, you can use the AWS Amplify JavaScript library to interact with the API in your front-end application. Import the Amplify library and configure it with your AppSync API endpoint and authentication settings. Then use the library to perform queries, mutations, and subscriptions against your AppSync API. Best practices for configuring AWS Amplify AppSync integration include using environment variables to manage API endpoint and authentication settings, implementing authentication and authorization mechanisms to secure your API, and monitoring and logging API performance and errors using AWS services such as Amazon CloudWatch and AWS X-Ray. By following these steps and best practices, you can successfully configure AWS Amplify AppSync integration and build scalable and secure serverless APIs for your applications.